Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So, today we continue our exploration of the vegan lifestyle, different aspects of the different lifestyle. So, today we talk about, meals, like ordinary meals, and how important they are, and how they can become like acts of peace. And it's a beautiful way of looking at it. That our meal are like a declaration of peace instead of declaration of war. And yeah, how important it is. It's not something that is benign. It's not something that is just like doesn't matter in the whole scheme of things. It really is the start of the of peace on earth, basically, for both ourselves, our own mind, body, and soul, and for the world and for the animals, people. So yeah, the choices that we make daily, they have very big ripples that is far beyond what we experience immediately. Because when we eat, what what we experience from human perspective is maybe textures, like smells, tastes, and yeah, like colors, even how what we hear also influences our direct experience. But beyond all that is a very vast web of experiences that happens behind the scene that we are not usually not at all aware of. So yeah, and this has a big influence on the on in the world on the world. And maybe it is time to for us to become aware of it, that what we do in daily life has a vast impact on the world, especially what happens in the kitchen. So everything that we prepare, all the ingredients that we bring into our kitchens, all quietly shape the world we live in. And by that, it's not only our world, but really the entire world. It goes far, far, far beyond what we think. It's like a secret, like secret weapon for peace, one could say. What we eat, either that or a weapon of destruction. And it is all up to us. Nobody can tell us what to do. Basically, it's our own decision. Each one of us, from our heart, from our habits, our tradition, everything shapes the. I think nothing shapes the world more than what we eat, and it is one of the easiest thing to change, and again one of the most impactful. So it's looking at the consequence, the connection between what we do every day and what we can call the larger web of life that we are all part of. So, what if, like, the path to a more compassionate and peaceful world does not start with big declarations, like we want peace, we want the end of the wars, and so on. All very noble ideas and thoughts, but they remain as thoughts and just ideas. And imagine that we discuss this around the table with our friends, that we want to see a peaceful world and we want to stop all the sufferings and the poverty and the malnutrition and everything. At the same time, we eat a piece of meat, fish, egg, dairy, cheese, honey, butter, ghee, that are all a part of a declaration of war on this world, and all part of the entire complete contrary to what we aspire to. So we talk about peace, but unknowingly we contribute to the opposite of it. So to the what we really do not wish. So from there come the idea of actions do not follow our wishes, our aspirations. Many times because it's just a habit. We just have a habit of certain things, eating certain foods and all, and we don't really think behind whatever we see in front of us. Again, it's our own experience versus reality. So what we experience from our own perspective, it's like a perspective shift that we need to make in our own mind, in our own way of being. The perspective from us to we, to the world, from me to we. There is I saw in the meditation retreat center where I teach. There is a beautiful like kind of an image that like with me, and then if we invert it, it becomes we. So like me and we, basically we are like it's one and the same, one could say. Whatever we do to me has impact on we. Whatever is or done by we has impact on me. So yeah, and we really need this perspective shift from our direct perception again to a more holistic and general perception, or general actually reality in the world, to see that what we choose like 3 times a day or more has a direct impact on the world, on to have peace in the world, to have true peace and compassion, to stop violence in this world. So we can be, if we want to become an activist, we don't even have to say even a word, don't need to go and shout in the streets and everything. It would be much better just to change one's plate. Then one would be the best activist ever, and much more effective than possibly those who go and shout in the streets that we want peace, we don't want war, but still continue to consume and contribute to violence directly without even realizing it, which is quite sad. And yeah, so a plant-based diet is one of the most important acts of peace that we can choose in this world. Again, it's a direct choice by us in this world. Nobody can force us to eat meat, fish, eggs, dairy, honey, whatever. It's all up to our choice, mostly. I mean, in most places in the world, we can have plant-based, amazing plant-based food. We don't need violence on our plates. We need a kinder plate, one that is not born out of suffering and cruelty, but one that is provided by nature as natural food for our body, which the human body is not made for meat, no fish, no eggs, no dairy, and or insects. We are not made for it. So our body is like resembles more the herbivore and frugivore than the carnivore or omnivores. So we cannot eat like raw meat or raw fish. And also raw milk is terrible for the health and very dangerous for like pregnant women. If one eats raw dairy milk, is very, very dangerous. It can have a lot of harmful bacteria. But we can eat raw fruits and vegetables, and also like whole food plant-based milks, which are quite amazing. So this ordinary act of eating is again a declaration of peace to the world, and something that we can decide even today that we decide to partake in. We can decide today that we do not wish to be part of the tradition of violence on this planet, and we wish to become a beacon of peace. It's all up to us. Again, nobody can force us to eat meat or fish or eggs or dairy. It's up to us. If we want to start today, we can. It's as simple as a decision away, basically. It's like we are very close to peace. We are just like a micron away, one could say. It's like we can have like a division between violence and peace. And the veil is very small. It's just like a doorway. We can just go from one to the other in a matter of as fast as a choice. Possibly even faster than the speed of light. I know. Speed of light is the maximum but it's like it's metaphorically. You just jump from one to the next, just a choice away, basically. It's like violence, choice, peace. And all we have to do is just change what we have on our plates. That's all we have to do. That's the main part, of course. There are other aspects we discussed it in the previous presentations, but this is really the maybe the main part, the one that is so prevalent in society everywhere, that a plant-based diet is one of the best things that we can do for this planet. From our own perspective, if we want to become again like an activist or to help the planet to be more peaceful ourselves in our heart and to radiate peace outside ourselves to everyone, family members, friends, workers, co-workers. We need to start with what we have on our plates. And there's no way around it. So yes, so we eat every day. It's not like an abstract decision. It's not like again, same thing we discussed before. It's not discussing about peace, discussing about we want peace, we want the end of wars, we want everyone to be happy. All perfectly valid and very good intentions. But there's a difference between theory and practice. One is theory and like wishes, very good, can have profound effect if it is followed by actions, but mostly it isn't. It is just like a decision. Maybe we see wars, disasters on the television, and we are very sad and we don't know what we can do. Well, I'm here to tell you we can do something gigantic towards avoiding this. And that simple thing is the simplest of things, is to switch a couple of ingredients in our everyday kitchen by peaceful, beautiful, tasty, amazingly fresh ingredients that are strictly plant-based. It's very tangible. It's not an abstract thing. So what we do, the choice that we do recurrently is has a big impact because we eat multiple times throughout the day. Almost each one of us. Well, some eat one meal, some eat 2 meals, some eat 3 meals a day, but we also eat in between meals with sandwiches from time to time. We eat also chips, and chips can be well. There's even chips with bacon. There are chips with cheese, and then there are chips that are plant-based. So if you choose the chips with cheese or bacon, that again contributes enormously to violence. What goes behind that, how it got to our mouth, has a very long distance from torture to our mouth. And we eat not only like ingredients, food, but we also eat the energy behind it. So we eat that suffering, we eat that torture, and that affects us. Maybe we don't understand why we feel maybe very low, very bad. Well, it's the food. Not only from a health perspective, because plant-based diet is much more light, much healthier. It prevents so many diseases. Of course, one needs to eat in a balanced way, but in general, it's way more healthy. It's what we are supposed to eat. So eating what we're not supposed to eat plus all the energy behind it, that one believes in that or not, one can be sure that when an animal dies, there are many like sadness, anger hormones that are released by the animals who are being killed, and no amount of technology can take that away, can erase that. It will stay there forever until one person consumes that. So yeah, each meal is an opportunity to consider not just what nourishes our bodies, but what our choices mean for the world around us. And every breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack is a moment of reflection, can be a moment of reflection. Each choice carries some consequence that extend far beyond the taste and nutrition, touching the lives of animals, the well-being of the workers, and the health of our planet. So it's not about cultivating like a guilt or anxiety. It's simply about cultivating the awareness of what goes behind that. And when we understand that our plates are like a power or like um, power energy, a power, well, a passive power, then we begin to see meals very, very differently. Each meal is an act of peace. Every time that we choose a plant-based diet, we choose peace. We choose compassion and kindness. Every time we choose animal-based food, then well, we choose the opposite basically. So, so it's something that we can participate ourselves in every moment of the day. Multiple daily moments, multiple moments a day. So every meal is a choice, and every meal is a very, very big power, very big statement that we can make. Not only statement, but actually we do something practical that is for peace. I know every meat that we do not buy, it means maybe there are a little bit less suffering in the world for an animal and for the planet. A little bit, we are helping climate change also, so environment is very strong. We contribute to stop deforestation, which again contribute to helping stop climate change and to restore biodiversity. So much effects of what we eat. It has a ripple effects without behind our wildest imagination. And it's a gentle awareness. We don't need to feel guilty. It's more consciousness, being conscious about it. Being aware of it and choosing the right path. We are in a crossroad. We can choose right or left. It's our choice. Unfortunately, I would say, because normally choice should not be about you know torturing innocent animals and a healthy way of being. This should not really be a choice. But in our world, for now at least, it's a choice. There's no laws that forbids eating animals, except at very few cities in the world. I believe maybe only I don't know if it's only in India that there are some cities that where it's forbidden to eat meat, fish, and eggs. Like Rishikesh, I believe, is like that. That is amazing, wonderful. But unfortunately, it's not going the whole way. They still consume dairy and cheese and butter, which also contribute to. It's very much linked to the meat industry, and it has a horrific story by itself. But still, at least in those places, they started to recognize the importance of what we eat with our spiritual aspirations. So I would say it's a start. Maybe they should add to stop dairy. That would be a wonderful addition. Maybe I would go live in such a place if one day there is such a place. But for now, in the most part of the world, that's not the case at all. So it's like a choice. There's no law against it. But that's also an opportunity for us to really decide. So in the places where we cannot eat because it's a law that we cannot eat meat, then we are forced to not eat meat, which is wonderful. But now in the places where we can choose, then it's also our choice. It's something that can be very empowering to us to choose compassion and kindness instead of harm and violence. So it's very important to understand again this concept of choice in this world, and especially what we put on our plates is one of the most highest impact on the animals, the planet, and ourselves. So let's choose wisely. So yes, and is what appears on our plate is not isolated. It's the visible end of a long chain of relationship. Every ingredient has a story of connection and linking us to beings and systems we may never directly encounter, but to whom we intentionally tied. So we have like the animals, of course, which are wonderful sentient beings with their own experience of joy and suffering, in that wish to live, do not wish to die, not only to live, but also wish to live in peace, in freedom. Just living in cages, that's not really living. Like birds in cages, I think that's atrocious to put like birds in cages. I don't understand it at all. How can humans put not only birds, but birds are we are not even eating the birds. We just like to see them in cages. I mean, that is terrible by itself. But we put also all the animals in cages, like the chickens in cages, and the animals for the like a fur industry, which is absolutely atrocious as well. And yeah, so that's and what we eat. There's direct connection, what we put in our plates to that key elements. And then we have also the climate ecosystem. There's a very delicate balance that keeps our planet livable for all. And we are currently destroying it through the animal agriculture, especially, mainly. And very few people talk about it because they don't want to maybe hurt the feelings of other beings. Like often there is this wrong idea of it's my choice to eat whatever I want. That is a completely wrong way of seeing, I must say. Because of what we say here, there is a big connection with what we eat and many different things behind the scene that is like hidden from sight. So when we say it's my choice to eat animals, because we only see the direct experience of it. We only see the senses. We want to taste the taste of animal-based food. We want maybe to smell it or whatever. I don't know. It's a direct perception of the senses, and it's completely shadows the reality of what happens behind the scene and how those so-called products or ingredients got to our plate, which is just based on violence, basically. So we cannot say that it is our choice to eat what comes from violence. It's very wrong. And yeah, it shows that we are not yet, that we still have a way to go for understanding the origin of the ingredients of the products. And even though we like the taste of things, even cheese, knowing what we know about the origin of that, then we would stop almost immediately if we really see like documentaries about the origin of dairy and cheese and butter and ghee. we would feel compelled to stop it, because then we would understand that it comes from a terrible place of violence, and the animals don't have a choice, We say that we have a choice to eat animals, but what about the choice of the animals themselves? There cannot be just one-way choice. If there's a choice that is based on violence towards other beings, that other being did not, it was not a choice for them to accept this violence. So it's not just our choice, it's our collective choices that shape things. And that is very important to keep in mind. Yeah, because otherwise one could say, oh, it's my choice to go and steal somebody else's smartphones because it's my choice. Yeah, but this will hurt another being, another human. And they will suffer about it, they will cry about it, maybe they will go to like reclamation. They will make, maybe if they knew it was we who stole their smartphone, they would make a lawsuit, and etc. So every choice that we make has a consequence. So we cannot say, because I want that I can do it. No. Same thing with what we have on our plates. When we say that it is my choice to eat animal products, same thing. We do a lot of harm unknowingly, not in front of our vision, so we are not aware of it. But what happens behind the scene is we take away the choices of other beings. That is very wrong. So yeah, there's also a link between what we eat and the farmers and workers. So people whose labor and dignity shape our food system, and many humans who work in the slaughterhouses, they hate it. They absolutely hate it. If not everybody, everyone. It's not like an aspiration. It's not like when one, in school, we had to say what we want to do in the future. I think nobody would say, I want to work in a slaughterhouse. It's not like a career or objective. It's just something that people do because they don't have a choice, because they are forced by government agencies, because maybe they don't have money, maybe they are even homeless and they want to have some job. Or maybe they are like foreigners who can't find job in the country, and then an government agency will ask them to work in slaughterhouses. And they hate it, and it creates a lot of issues, psychological issues for them, and health issues. And to see violence day after day, it will affect one very, very much, and it will affect everyone around us as well. Then there's also land and water. That this is connected to, because whatever we eat shape our land and water resources. When we eat a cow, then that poor cow had to drink gigantic amount of waters every day to sustain her. And also had to eat a lot of food, way more than humans. And where does that food comes from? It comes from land that has been repurposed to feed that poor cow. And then we eat just like the flesh of the cow. So the animal agriculture controls 80% of about 80% of the land, agricultural land in the world, but it provides only 20% of the calories, which is a ridiculous percentage. statistics. So yeah, and yeah, we have also forests. So again, as we say, like land, forests. um, we need to, when we support the animal agriculture, then forests are being deforested everywhere in the world, like the Amazon. Like 80% of it is brought down because of the animal agriculture, because of the so-called cattle or cows that we wish to eat, that we didn't even need to eat. So we cannot say that eating is like isolated from all that. Eating anything is very much interconnected with all those aspects, deeply interconnected. There's an unavoidable relationship. So when we acknowledge these connections, then our meals become opportunities for mindfulness, for being mindful about what we eat exactly, well, knowing what we eat and accepting what we eat. So for recognizing that there is a relationship between us, what we do, and the world. So if we eat a plant-based diet, then we can feel very good about it because we know that we don't contribute to all those issues. We are contributing to a cleaner, more beautiful, more peaceful, more kind and compassionate world. Yeah, so a kinder kindness can be very ordinary. A kinder world doesn't need to begin with like grand gesture, like big reforms or dramatic transformation. Even sometimes the smallest acts, smallest change in our everyday can have tremendous effect on the world. So yeah, choosing plants instead of animals, opting for foods that require less suffering and fewer resources to produce. That is, as we talked about, is amazing. And choosing also nourishment without harm. So finding abundance means that we don't depend on taking life, on violence towards beings. And yet choosing compassion without applause, so making quiet decisions that align with our value, even when no one is watching. That is very important. Um, we should, that's one of the most powerful things, is to do good things without anyone knowing. And one of the best thing is to eat plant-based diet, plant-based food, because then we contribute to peace and we are not shouting from a mountain top. Nobody needs to know even that we are plant-based or vegan. Of course, people will know quite fast. Because co-workers, for example, will see immediately what we eat and what we don't eat. And probably most of them will ask us, why do we do it? In a good sense, not in a negative way. And that's very good to start a good discussion. So yeah, kindness can be like very routine. It simply exists as an accumulation of small, like thoughtful choices, and for like choices that honor the inherent values of other beings while nourishing our bodies and spirits. So yeah, um, yeah, less harm is still meaningful. So we don't need to be perfect. The goal isn't to achieve like some impossible standard of purity or to never make mistakes. So the goal is simply to cause less harm when we can reasonably do that. Um, so progress over perfection is great. So like if we start by setting in replacing one ingredient at a time, like they what um, that's the best food for them. But other than that, we can replace the dairy from other species by plant-based milk. It's very easy and it's very tasty. It's very useful. So, and also often nobody's perfect. Sometimes we make mistakes, like we eat a product and then it happens afterward. We learn that it had maybe eggs or maybe dairy or butter. But okay, we just forgive ourselves and continue. No need to beat ourselves up. Since this world is not a vegan world, all we can do is our best, and we can do all we can to reduce the harm that we cause, directly or indirectly. So so every time that we spare an animal, each life has a value. So it's great to stop consuming the poor animals. And every plant-based shift is every incremental change, then it adds up over time. So whatever we do better is better. So at least we can try to eat as plant-based as we can. Ideally fully plant-based, but maybe to start with, we can do like one day a week plant-based or vegan. Then this accumulates. This has an impact, of course, which will light up footprint. So we're voting with our money for something that is a kind of reward. Sometimes going all in may be a bit paralyzing to people. So we can we can start slowly, but I would say, that's true. It's like it's not necessarily an all in. For example, if somebody stops eating animal products even once a week, that's already something. We cannot be dismissed as nothing. This is accumulates over time. Over time, it's I would say it's best to continue. So like one times a week, then we feel better on that day. Maybe then we say, oh, okay, I will augment it to 2, then 3, then 4, then before one knows it, one will be 100% vegan, 100% plant-based. So starting small is fine, in this world at least, because as we discussed, it's like a kind of a choice, and we want to. Maybe it's hard for us to do it 100% because of traditions or pressure from society, from families. But still, we can go all the way also. It's also very brave and very correct to go all the way. To go 100%, that is the goal, I would say. And we should go all the way after some time. If not immediately, but at least after some times. And especially after we see like documentaries. If we start small, then we can watch documentaries over time, educate ourselves, and then understand the importance of it. And possibly something will click in our mind, in our heart, and we will go 100% plant-based. So, although incremental shift is great, we should not forget the final goal of completely eliminating all animal products. That is really the goal, and that is the best, because we don't want to hurt any animal. So now if we do it, if we stop consuming animal products, then we maybe help 1 or 2 animals a week, but then we also contribute to suffering of 6 or 7 animals. And we want to arrive to 0. We don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. So we should incrementally, either rapidly or more slowly, strive to go fully plant-based. Yeah, so there are many, ethical practices that we can do when we donate to charity. That is wonderful. How we vote is very important. To vote for the right party, right government is very important. And which companies we support is very important. And food choices are very uniquely positioned in our lives, because they are not just something that is, when we vote just maybe once a year or twice a year, and then we cannot do anything about it anymore. When you donate to charity, well, we can donate every month, okay, but then usually we forget about all this. Maybe it's automatic donation, and that's it. And but food choices are very different, because they are not just occasional or theoretical; they are immediate, personal, and something that is constant, like usually like 3 times a day. So we make a decision multiple times every single day, creating countless opportunities for alignment with our values. Imagine that we are doing it like 3 times a day for 365 days a year. That means that we have like how much? Like like how much does it do? It's like 1095 something, I believe. Something like 1095 like opportunities per year to do what is right. That's a lot of times, and if we like multiply it by number of years that we are on this planet, like when we switch to vegan lifestyle, then it doesn't matter. We have how many years we still have to live. Then it will make several tens of thousands of decisions in our life that have direct ethical value, like ethical action. And it's like a vote. We vote with our forks. We vote for a better world with our forks and knives. We vote for a better health, for a more compassionate and kind world. And so many times. So, again, when we vote for a government party, just once or twice a year, it's very important, but still it's very, very short, very direct. But eat every day. Every day we eat, don't we? And this has very, very direct consequence on the planet. So we should keep that in mind. For most of people in the world, plant-based options are like available everywhere in the supermarket. That's clearly mentioned, plant-based or vegan, and they are very affordable and easy to find. So we don't need to go very special ingredients. There are many ingredients that are plant-based that are very cheap, like lentils, like rice, tofu, and fruits, vegetables, pasta. All those are extremely easy to find, very very cheap, and very healthy. And it's all up to us to choose that. And whatever we eat is a direct effect on our bodies, making so the practice both intimate and kind of embodied. And again, it's not only our bodies, but also our mental states, spiritual practices. What we eat has a gigantic effect on ourselves as well as on the world. So That's why the vegan choices is so powerful. So they turn ethics into something practical, something lived, not merely theoretical. So it's not something abstract. It's not something that, uh, yeah, that is hard to understand. It's something that shapes our life meal by meal, shapes our own health, shapes the planet choice by choice. So food becomes like a practice, a discipline, a way of being in the world that's both ordinary and profound. That's why food is so, so important, you know. What we eat is, we should not think that what we eat has no consequences on the world. Sometimes one can hear that we can eat basically anything if we, like, maybe we have not seen what happens to the animals, we have not heard their cries, then we can eat them. That's not true. Again, that's very it could be in the past when there were like monks didn't had very hard time to find food, and in a practical way maybe it was permitted to them to eat anything that they received, but only with certain rules. But that was only because it was maybe in the beginning of their practice, and so that monks do not starve to death. So they were permitted to eat like that. Maybe people did not yet know that they do not wish to eat meat and fish and eggs. And so people gave them whatever they thought they should, because monks in the past, they just had a bowl, and today also. Then they go in the, like, to beg for food. And if they receive animal-based food, then what can they do? For me, they should still say, I do not wish to eat animal products. Could you please in the future maybe give me plant-based food? But yeah, so that's a very different aspect. That's why it's not. It's important to really be clear with our way of being. Especially, we are not. Most of us are not monks. We can completely choose what we eat. We do not beg for food in the street. Most of us. I know some do. I mean, the homeless. I mean, that's a different story, of course. But most of us do not need to beg, and we can fully choose what we consume, and be it in violence-based food, I would call it, or kindness-based food. Yes, so when we choose kindness in our place, then we have a calmer mind. So many who switch to a plant-based diet or eating then report like something maybe unexpected, a very deep sense of internal peace, of inner peace, that goes far beyond physical health benefits. It's as if something, yeah, has been quietly and finally resolved, something that is discordant in us. So it's not imaginary, it's something that is part of our actions with our values. And come back to that concept, because it's very important. When we do something that is in harmony with nature, then something settles inside of us. You know, when we drive a car on the street, on the highway, we need to keep our own lane. We cannot just wobble around. that is similar to aligning our action with our values. We keep driving in the lane where we are. We don't wobble around, and that is much better for us and for other drivers to be very dangerous if we start. So that's why we need to aligning our actions with our values. So there's less dissonance, so no more like mental gymnastic, mental thoughts about justifying choices that conflicts with our love for animals. Most of us have this love for deep, true love for animals. At least we profess it, we say it. But unfortunately, as our actions do not align with our values, then something is very discordant in that love. It's we cannot really love a being and eat them as well, or hurt them, or being violent towards them. That's not love. Love is really caring about a being, about persons, about the being's well-being, and we cannot. It's impossible to have love through violence. So it's alignment, so our beliefs and behaviors then point in the same direction. It's like a quiet sense of peace, of knowing the relief of knowing that our meals didn't require any suffering. So we feel lighter. So not only in the physical sense, but of course also in physical sense, but it's most importantly maybe in a psychological, even spiritual sense. It's the lightness of integrity. It's it's a nice way of saying it. And and even in spiritual practices, there's the concept of karma and all this. And sometimes it is said in some tradition that it is not what we do that matters, it's our intention. I think that is, I can understand it in some sense, but it's very wrong in many others. It can permit us to do anything that we wish because our intention were not bad, so we eat a piece of meat but our intention were good, but that's absolute nonsense. Intention is not everything. There's also reality behind the scene, we cannot ignore the reality and just think that intention is all that matters. That's a completely wrong way of seeing. So karma is not only about intention, it's also practically what we actually do. The action that we take when we eat the meat, we take an action, we eat that food. And then if we think about the origin of that food, it comes from violence. Then maybe our intention was to maybe feed our body, good intention, but done in the wrong way, I would say, because many beings were harmed, and this creates karma. So karma is not only intention, but intention does play a role. If we want to help someone, but something went wrong, like imagine a doctor wishing to help a patient very much, so there's chirurgy, but then something went wrong, and it didn't really work out very well. Then here the intention is very important. The intention was to use the knife to help the being, not to hurt them. And that's a very different kind of thing, and their intention does matter. Of course, not only intention, but also how we do it, etc. So it's not about moral superiority. That's not what the vegan lifestyle is. It never has been. It doesn't claim to be vegans don't claim to be morally superior over others. It's not about judgment or right and sense or creating hierarchies of human worth. It's more about, again, aligning our action with our values and seeing that what we do has a big impact on the world. So yeah, vegans, yes, they may act more kind and compassionate towards the world. That's for sure, I would say. That doesn't mean one is superior to others. It's very wrong to believe one is a superior or whatever from other, because everyone has kindness in themselves. Everybody wishes for kindness. The thing is, we don't always do what we should do. So I would say that yes, a vegan lifestyle is superior to a carnivore or an omnivore diet. That's for sure. It's much more aligned, but it doesn't mean that one is superior to others because one is vegan. So it's not like a kind of superiority feeling like it's better than another person. It's a bit of a subtle thing, but yeah, I think most vegans are very like humble. All they want is to help the animals. All they want is to help the planet and the humans at the same time. And yeah, what this wish is what is their drive. That's what they drive them. It's not because of moral superiority, just because of the drive for compassion and kindness towards the world. So we try to do the least harm that we can reasonably can. That's what we try to do. That's not moral superiority, that's just common sense. And the least harm is, of course, it depends on circumstances. There are some maybe specific circumstances, but we try to, in the context, but we try to minimize the suffering. And then we choose compassion when alternatives exist. In many situations, we do have a choice that aligns with kindness, maybe even in most cases. So we do that. And then we stay humble and open, remembering that we are all learning, all imperfect, and nobody is perfect. We all try to do our best with what we know, especially with what we know. And we try to learn every day. So even as vegans, as plant-based eater, we can still learn about different aspects of it and how to make it like even less suffering. Because maybe there are some plant-based eaters that consume honey, for example. But honey also comes from a terrible place of suffering and violence. But very few make the connection. That's why it's wonderful to do the documentaries explaining the connection between honey and violence. Like one example is that in order for the queen bee not to escape, so the apicultors, they cut her wings. That's absolutely atrocious. That's removing like a choice of another being to go anywhere else. It's like cutting the wings of a bird. Just because we wish that bird to stay for some reason. That's horrible. And yet that is typical practice from the industry. Not only that, there are many others. Other reasons. One is that we steal from the bees. That's maybe the most direct understanding. We steal something that is not ours. It's like imagine there are people working for us and are not working for us, actually working for themselves. And they gather a lot of food for winter, and they're very happy about it. Like looking forward to eat all that food that they worked extremely hard every single day, every single moment, almost not sleeping. And then somebody maybe stronger physically comes and open the doors and take all the food away for their own sake. And then leaving all those poor people like completely shocked about this. It's a blatant theft, basically. And then those people do it again and again and again. And again, there's the like physically stronger person who comes, again takes the food away, maybe replace it with subpar food, which is what happens with the for the bees. And then without bees, we also would not have agriculture, without those insects that pollinate all the on the food sources, so the plants and the flowers. So we need those insects. So yeah, but this is like a side note. So again, it's like what I mean is we even plant-based eaters can still learn things, a thing or two, and even the origin of food that is plant-based. Sometimes it's not ethically sourced. Like there were human suffering behind it. So then that's also even though it is plant-based, it may not be vegan, because then the humans also are suffering behind the scene because of that maybe plant-based food. So that's why the vegan lifestyle is more about perpetual increments. There's some baseline, like eating plant-based is the most baseline of thing. That already cut a gigantic amount of percentage from the violence in this world from our plates, but still we can still remain open and advance that ideas. But of course, remaining open doesn't mean that we remain open to go back to eating meat. Honestly, we should stay away from all the animal products. We don't need them. If we have any maybe medical issues, maybe that's only because we don't eat a very balanced diet. Maybe we don't eat enough. That's a very important point. We need to eat an abundance of food, and maybe in the beginning, because the microbiome needs to change from the animal-based food to the plant-based food, then maybe in the beginning one could get some stomach upset maybe, but it would be quite fast to change, just like the microbiome, which needs to adapt to a plant-based diet. So the correct bacteria are there to consume all the like the fibers and all those, and yeah, so but still you should remain humble. So kindness doesn't need a pedestal. We should not think about our choices as evidence of our superiority. So we do not really understand the plot entirely. So we should practice compassion without arrogance. So we should still remain humble and curious, and to recognize that we are all navigating some complex system as best we can. Of course, we know that. That doesn't mean that we don't strive to eat as ethically as possible. But we remain humble. We don't we speak with humility, we don't speak with violence. We try to, if we scold someone because of what they eat, chances are that person will feel quite bad. And that's also not very compassionate. But we can do the same, but in a peaceful and calm way, and to help that person reflect about one's choices more profoundly. So that may be a better way of expressing oneself than just being violent with our words. Because, violence rarely, basically never solves anything. But doesn't mean that we cannot be peaceful, and that means we should be peaceful in all ways. So both in our way of eating, what's in our plate, in our the way of talking, in our way of thinking. And everyone has their journey, of course. But still, that doesn't mean also that we should not go relatively fast. We should not take too long to understand the implication of what we eat. Doesn't mean that we should procrastinate. That doesn't say that at all. We should move towards a plant-based living, I would say, as soon as possible. It's very important because our planet is basically in a very bad shape because of those choices. So, and it's up to each one of us to make the right choice. So these individual choices matter not just for the immediate impacts, but also to shift the norms of the culture and somehow force the market. When the plant-based eating moves from fringe to familiar, then the entire system begins to transform. For example, there are more and more plant-based milks on the market, more and more vegan products, more and more vegan meats and cheese and wonderful cheese and butter even. And food in general, all the restaurants now offer, most restaurants offer vegan choices. So it becomes a normalized thing. That was not the case even not that long ago. It really went mainstream quite recently. I don't know when, but maybe even just 15, 20 years ago, maybe. It really is something that completely became something so important in the world. And there are so many restaurants, vegan restaurants that opened. That's absolutely wonderful. And so many supermarkets start to provide vegan, clearly labeled vegan food, and even compartmentalize the meat from the vegan or plant-based food, which was not the case in the past. So there is change. There is a wonderful change, and for vegans, it's much easier to be vegan nowadays than it was in the past. So there's almost no kind of excuse not to even try. One should try, in my opinion, at the very least 41 days to be completely vegan and see how one feels. It's very easy nowadays. One just can go to start a Veganuary challenge. Veganuary? It's the month-long January month where one can strives to be vegan, and with great help from the Veganuary team. So if you check Veganuary, you will meet the team and how one can sign up for it. And one can sign up on any day of the year. One doesn't need to wait for January. So it's not like we are February and then that's over. We need to wait like 11 months to start in January. No. We can start at any time. And everyone will receive like booklets, wonderful booklets explaining the vegan lifestyle, what it means, what are the gotchas, how to remain vegan. And they will also send emails, like motivation emails, every day for 31 days. So it's a wonderful movement. So yeah, and then the norms and infrastructure evolve. So like farms, they switch to a plant-based farms, which is absolutely wonderful. So some farms stop producing milk and may start producing like plant-based milks. That is absolutely amazing. And so on and so forth. So this is very strong. And also tradition, like it becomes much more acceptable to be vegan. Many persons know personally vegans, and vegans are no longer maybe afraid to say that they are vegans. It's like accepted. So that is that's a social different choice, more ethical choice, more kind choice. And the more we are, the better it is. And yeah, so there's a big market response as the demand for this option increases. Then the producer respond with innovation, better products like better cheeses, vegan cheeses. The price lowers, and what once niche becomes mainstream. Also, there's cultural normalization. So as we said, the vegan options appear basically everywhere. And also on gatherings, like family gatherings in cafeterias, even gas stations. So it's not a radical choice anymore, it's something that feels ordinary. And yeah, so everything evolved towards like it's a systemic evolution. The infrastructure, the agriculture, and the food system gradually adapt, making compassionate and more reasonable choices for the next generation, for the future generation, than it was for the current one or the previous ones. So yeah, so if millions of people do the right kind choice, that has very strong ripples. There is even now vegan supermarkets, at least one in Germany, I believe. I don't know if there are many, but this one that is 100% vegan supermarket. I mean, how amazing is that? I would love to have something like that next to my house. It would be wonderful. You know, in many, like for example, in the supermarket that I go to every week, it's a wonderful supermarket. It has many vegan options. The plant-based dairy is even much bigger section than the animal-based dairy. But still, they have this place where there's like the butcher at one place of the supermarket, which is quite, I think, quite sad. But yeah, I would hope one day that butcher will become a vegan butcher. There are vegan butchers that are quite amazing, and that would be a revolution. And I'd be very proud if they do that. Switch to like vegan butcher and vegan cheese making in those supermarkets. So yeah, so like underworld, so does not arrive all at once, fully formed and perfect. So it's not something that is sent from the sky and suddenly it has transformation. It's not like an angel coming and suddenly everyone goes vegan. It would be great, but that's not how it happens. It will arrive incrementally, quietly, through accumulation of countless small acts of compassion and countless beings going vegan, going plant-based, changing what is on our plates. Every meal is a vote for a kinder world. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, one choice at a time, so made by ordinary people in ordinary kitchens, but that choose to align their daily habits with their deepest values. That's the main point. So each meal is an opportunity. Each decision we make shapes the world. Each one. Imagine we have a choice at home between eating a steak or a vegan burger. Choosing the vegan burger is we can be very proud of to make us feel very good. So it's a decision. Eating the steak maybe will fill our belly, but it will not make us feel very good. So there will also always be that lingering kind of guilt in our heart when we do things that we know we shouldn't do, but we still do them. Even though most of the time we do not think about it, but they are lingering in our mind. So making the right choice is very important. And each gesture of kindness does matter. Everything that we do every single day has a very big impact. That's why act of compassion is not only about what we on the plate, which is very important, but even just a kind word to someone said during the day and makes that person feels good. That was an act of compassion also. And slowly but gently, the world begins to soften too. That is the invitation. That the whole topic, that the peace that we cultivate on our plates can over time ripples outward into a more compassionate world for all beings. So it's not through force or judgment, but through the quiet, persistent practice of choosing kindness whenever we can. And we can do that quite a lot of time, much more, way more than we believe we can. Every single piece of food is, again, a declaration either of war or of peace, of violence or of compassion. And it's all up to us to choose the right way. So thank you. That was a long talk. I hope you got something out of it, something positive. I hope if anyone listens and is not yet eating a plant-based diet, then I would strongly suggest to reflect upon it first deeply, to watch documentaries on all the aspects that is corresponding to, like the health aspect with documentaries like Forks Over Knives, or environmental like Cowspiracy, or if one wants to go all in and really see what's happening without filters, one can watch Earthlings or Dominion. So all are good choices, and we should strive to make our plates. Let's make our plates a very kind, compassionate plate. Let's start let's start peace on our plate. Let's make it the most beautiful, peaceful, compassionate plate we ever had. Maybe for one day, maybe just one day, see how it feels. And then try out Veganuary. Try out 31 days of eating a plant-based diet. Many persons, many beings, this is like a revelation once they do it and they see how they feel better, feel lighter, both physically, mentally, spiritually. And then they stay plant-based or vegan. And they at least understand it better, even if they do not stay, then at least they understand it better. And maybe they make better choices. Maybe they become flexitarians, where they eat mostly a vegan or plant-based diet, but then maybe from time to time or with in social places they will eat something that is not vegan or plant-based. But at least making the right understanding the consequences of the food is very important. At least we are aware of it, we are educated. And then it's like a real choice. Then once we know what's happening, then it's really a choice, more or less. Because still there's no choice to the animals, but at least we do it in complete knowledge of what's happening. And then if we believe that it is, if we believe that like it's okay for animals not to have a choice, then it's our choice in a way to do that. But most of us are not even aware of it. We do not think about it. Because if we would think about it, then the chances are that we would be more plant-based or maybe entirely plant-based or vegan. But here we are not aware of it. As I said, I was not born in a vegan family. I ate basically anything until I was like 18. And I've never even a single time thought about it. It's quite sad. I was never taught about it nowhere. Nobody talked to me about it. Maybe just once, maybe when I was in high school. Just that I had an Indian, a friend who I don't think he told me why. He just told me that he doesn't eat animals, but I don't think he told me why, unfortunately. So I just basically we are conditioned by society a lot, by our families. Of course, it's not their fault. The families, our parents are conditioned by their parents and so on. But it's time to stop this and to be educated, I would say, as soon as possible. So families should discuss this with their children. But of course, since most families are not vegans, and most parents do not wish their children to see the suffering of the animals. So it's kind of, again, the values don't align with the actions. So if the parents understand this, then it's much more likely that their children will also understand that, or at least there will be a talk about it, around it. But otherwise, probably most families do not talk about it for most of the time. That's a pity, because it's a very important topic. So, but in any case, so thank you for listening, and let's go to our daily practice. Good morning again. So we're going to go start with our daily practice. That was a long presentation. I talked for about an hour 30. Probably most of you went to sleep, which is okay. It's also quite early in the morning, so I understand that. So let's start. So first we start with a prayer, the daily prayer. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will show gratitude for my many blessings. Just for today, I will be kind to all living beings. May today be a joyful, peaceful, blissful, and magical day. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy and free. And may our thoughts, words, and deeds contribute in some way to that happiness and freedom for all. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om peace to all of nature, peace to all living beings, to all the animal people, to all the humans, and finally peace to our own self, to our own mind. Om. So let's now do the gratitude short session, just for a couple of minutes, being grateful for anything and everything that we have, whatever that may be, physical, spiritual, or our family members, our dogs and cats. We're all grateful for them, to have a house, to have a house, to have a home, a warm home, to have a warm bed, to have food, to have teachers, wonderful teachers. For all our lives, we had so many teachers in all aspects of life. That's wonderful. So let's be grateful to all of them, and yeah, just for a couple of minutes. Do it at your own in your own way. and slowly come out of it. So let's start a little bit the physical exercise part. Yeah, so just first we start with the usual chest forward and chest back. So inhale when going forward, exhale back. And the other way. Come back to center, then inhale, exhale. Come back to center, inhale, extend on to one side. Inhale, extend spine, extend on a bit more. Inhale, center, exhale the other side. Inhale, extend the spine, exhale on a bit more. And then inhale, come back to center. Put one hand on the mat and one hand can bend to the side. Take a couple of breaths. The other side. Come back to center. Then hands on the shoulders and make some rounds. Inhale up, exhale back. And the other way. And come back to center. Then make some magic with your fingers and wrists. Open and close the hands rapidly. And relax. Now do the same with the legs and feet. Just stretch them. Then grab one of the knee and turn to one side gently. And the other side. And come back to center. So that was our very, very simple physical aspect practice. And let's take 5 minutes rest. So let's start the relaxation part. So we're going to do the 61 points of relaxation, also called Shavyatra, which means corpse journey, opposed to Shavasana, which means corpse pose. So corpse journey means, we go through, it's like a systematic body scan that uses 61, not different points. Some are, we return to the same points many times, but see, we focus on 61 times on some points on the body to train concentration and also to kind of activate the energy at those centers. So it's a kind of both relaxation and pranayama. It's a mixture of both. So we'll do it twice, once together and once on our own. So we will start with a simple body scan, and then we'll move on to the 61 points. So just close your eyes, sit in a straight, comfortable position. We can do it lying down also. Take a couple of deep breaths. Now relax your feet. Relax your legs, your hips. Relax your back, lower back, middle back, upper back. Relax your abdomen and torso. Relax your neck and the throat, your shoulders, shoulder blades, your arms and hands. Relax the back of the head, top of the head, forehead, eyebrows and eyes. Relax your ears and nose and nostrils. Relax your lips and tongue, chin and jaw. Relax your mouth. Your entire face is relaxed. Relax your entire head, entire body. And now let's move on to the 61 points. So bring your entire attention to the space between the eyebrows, the pit of the throat, the right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist, tip of the right thumb, tip of the index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Back to the right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, pit of the throat, left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, tip of the left thumb, tip of the index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Back to the left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, pit of the throat, the center of the chest, the right chest, center of the chest, the left chest, center of the chest, the navel, lower abdomen, right hip joint, right knee, right ankle, tip of the right big toe, tip of the second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Back to the right ankle, right knee, right hip joint, lower abdomen, left hip joint, left knee, left ankle, tip of the left big toe, tip of the second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Back to the left ankle, left knee, left hip joint, lower abdomen, navel, center of the chest, bit of the throat, and the space between the eyebrows. And just relax. And let's do now the same. Only the 61 points. Let's do on our own, at our own pace. Starting now. and slowly open your eyes. So let's move now to the pranayama section. As in previous days, we're going to do 3 practices mainly: controlled breath, then Nadi Shodhanam and Brahmari. So let's start with the controlled breath. So we breathe in and out in a controlled way. So that we're going to do 2 practices in those. We are going to breathe in for X seconds and out from X seconds, and breathe in for X seconds and out for 2x seconds. And we're going to do it in a very specific quality of the breath, meaning our breath needs to be very silent, no ujjayi. Our breath needs to be without hiccups as much as possible, very smooth, without pauses at the top and the bottom of the inhalation and exhalation. Diaphragmatic, we just mean to breathe in from more the belly than the chest and shoulders. So it just depends where the how the muscles are relaxed. That defines if it's diaphragmatic or not, basically. Because of course it's always diaphragmatic, because it's the diaphragm that goes up and down. But depending on where the muscles are relaxed, that's how one can say that one breathes from the belly or from the chest or from the shoulders. And we try to breathe in as naturally as possible in that sense, is where the shoulders and chest are completely relaxed, also the belly is relaxed. So it just expands and goes back in a very natural way. And always inhalation and exhalation from the mouth, from the nose. So we should not breathe in from the mouth, unless it's an emergency. So the nose is for breathing, the mouth is for, what is it? The mouth for talking, and for eating, and the occasional like emergency breathing, of course. And maybe it can be some exception, of course, when you do sports. That is a bit different. It's still a good idea to try to breathe in from the nose, even in sports. But but then the sport needs to be a bit less maybe active than normal, so that we can still breathe from the nose instead of the mouth. But it's best to see a coach for that, if one is interested in that aspect. So in any case, we breathe in from the nose because the nose is made up for breathing. Very important to breathe in from the nose. So many health issues can come from not breathing from the nose, from the mouth. The nose filters the air, filters all the dust and bacteria and whatnot that comes in, and also humidifies the air, which does not happen when we breathe in from the mouth. I cannot personally really breathe in from the mouth in a practice kind of way. Of course, when we talk, it's a bit different. Sometimes we breathe in from the mouth when we talk, but in the normal practice, we try to breathe in from the nose as much as possible, in and out, not only in. And there are many different reasons, also medical reasons, like nitric oxide created in the nasal canal, and that comes to the lungs and expand the vessels. So it's very good for vessel dilation. Also, it regulates the breath much better. The mouth one can get a lot of air, like the nose is very regulated, much more regulated, etc. There are many like groups that advocate for breathing in from the nose. And yoga too. Yoga too, mostly, most of the practices, they are using only the nose and not the mouth. The traditional ways at least. There are some who may use the mouth, like the Sitali, where we like clean the teeth and then we breathe in from the mouth. Like personally, I don't like it, and I don't do it. Um, it makes me kind of sick when I breathe in from the mouth. Just not natural, in my opinion. But then again, it can have benefits in certain circumstances, specific circumstances. So it's not really black or white. Um, yeah. So let's do that. So just breathe in for 8 seconds and out for. I mean, breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 4 seconds. How do you want to do that? If that is too much, do a 3-3 or a 2-2. So let's do that. And slowly relax. And now let's do the same, but what is called 1-2. So we breathe in X seconds and breathe out 2x seconds. So we're going to do 4-8. So breathing in for 4 seconds and out in 8 seconds. If that is too much, do a 3-6 or a 2-4. Same qualities of breath as the previous practice. So let's do that. And slowly relax. So let's pass to Nadi Shodhanam, alternate nostril breathing. So it's one where if we use the Vishnu Mudra, bend the ring and index finger and middle finger, and we block the nostrils with the thumb or the ring. We can also do it by putting our two fingers at the space between the eyebrows and then doing the same blocking with the thumb and the ring. You can choose which one, but maybe let's try with those one because we mostly did like this. So let's try like that. So we try like to stimulate also this region, this important region. So there are three types that we can choose, because there are also others in other traditions, depends on the tradition. But let's do this one. So three types, three main types, and the first type is imagine we block the right, then exhale left, inhale right, exhale left, inhale right, exhale left, inhale right, exhale right, inhale left, exhale right, inhale left, exhale right, inhale left. That's one round. Then we can make like two more rounds, each one starting always from the opposite nostril, with a couple of seconds of rest between the rounds. So yeah, we're not going to do each inhalation exhalation more or less the same time, and more or less maybe 4 seconds, not too much. So we'll do 3 rounds on our own of each type and 1 round together. If one does it on one's own, one can do just the 3 rounds in total. This is more just for practice so that you are aware of those 3 types, and then you know how to do them well, and you can do them on your own. So and also you start to feel how they feel. So let's do that. So first take a deep breath. Exhale. Then inhale to start. Block right, exhale from left. Switch, inhale from right. Switch, exhale. Switch, inhale. Switch, exhale. Switch, inhale. Exhale from same. Switch, inhale. Switch, exhale. Switch, inhale. Switch, exhale. Switch, inhale. And relax. And let's do that for 3 rounds on our own at our own pace. Yeah, starting now. Now we're going to move to the second type. Second type is, imagine we block the right, then exhale left, inhale left, switch, exhale right, inhale right, switch, exhale, inhale, switch, exhale, inhale, switch, exhale, inhale, switch, exhale, inhale. So that is the pattern. So let's do it once together and 3 times on our own. So take a big inhale, exhale, inhale to start. Block right, exhale from left. Inhale left, switch, exhale, inhale, 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 and relax. Of course, if it makes you dizzy, or if one side is completely blocked, then you should not do this. Really, like as they say, listen to your body, to what you can do, you cannot do. Don't force it. Then let's do 3 times on our own. And let's move now to the final type. So the third type. So if we close our right nostril, then it's exhale left, inhale left, and exhale left, inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, switch. Exhale right, inhale right, exhale right, inhale right, exhale right, inhale right. So let's do that once together. So inhale, exhale, inhale to start. Block right, exhale from left. Inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, exhale left, inhale left, switch, exhale right, inhale right, exhale right, inhale right, exhale right, inhale right, and relax. Now let's do it 3 times, each on our own time, own pace. And relax. So there shouldn't be no retention in this practice of Nadi Shodhana. It's really very smooth. No retention at inhalation or exhalation. no pauses. Okay, so let's move on to the next practice, which is primary. The bee humming practice. So we just inhale, close the mouth, and make the exhale like and so on. And you choose the pace, the tone, and yeah, check what feels right. What each one has their each tone has like a different frequency and advantages. It stimulates different areas of the body. So experiment. So let's start now. Don't follow me, just do at your own pace. And relax. So this practice is very calming. Brahmari especially is very calming to the nervous system. So if you have trouble falling asleep, it might be a good idea to do a couple of minutes before falling asleep. Yeah, so let's now move to our next practice, which is self-dialogue, the famous self-dialogue, where we talk to ourselves in a positive, constructive manner. We already discussed this at length in previous presentations. So the idea is we choose like a category, then we try to, when we don't try to, we talk in that like that category is talk. So, for example, it can be prayer. Prayer is a self-dialogue, it's a type of self-dialogue. We don't necessarily need to make loud prayers or vocal prayers. Can be in our own mind, can be even more powerful than vocal ones. No need for anyone to know what we pray for. And then that's really powerful. It's really for our own sake, it's not for ego. It's not for praying in order for others to know how spiritual we are. It is something that we do it for our own self, and also for good vibration to affect others as well. No needed to be public. But of course, public is fine in religious temples. Then one, of course, prays like publicly, vocally. That is just one part of the practice. But there's also the silent part. So prayer can be either pre-made or self-made. Pre-made is like religious scriptures, for example, or some practice that we do, or some mantras. And self-made is when we ourselves, we make our own prayer each time. It's different. That comes from the heart. That can be the most powerful, the most authentic prayer. that comes from the heart. And we can pray to the higher beings or to nature or whatever, whoever we believe in, or to our own self, to our own higher self, our own Buddha nature, our own consciousness, sea of consciousness, our own what Sufis call the beloved. So the beloved is like the Lord ourself or himself. The Lord is not masculine or feminine. So we often say him, but technically speaking, it's not him. It's neither him nor her. It's but it's a good habit to actually say her, like the mother consciousness, the one who gives birth, the creator. Because we say so many times him, it and it's just not technically it's okay, of course, but maybe it's time to switch to her, a more calming, nurturing mother consciousness, mother awareness. And yeah, so then we have gratitude, like we did, like we do every morning for some time now. That's a wonderful practice, very important. Kindness and gratitude are the mothers of all virtues. Some say that only gratitude is the mother of all virtues. I would add kindness as well. Maybe they are like twin brothers and sisters. Or yeah, maybe rather like they are like maybe the parents of all the virtues. And yeah, then we have affirmations. Many affirmations. One can say positive affirmations. Can be wonderful practice. Another one is the metta meditation, where we pray. We wish well to all beings, not only humans or living beings, and also more specifically to those that we care about, those that we love, that we cherish, maybe our family members or friends or community. Then we wish them well, we wish them to have peace in their hearts, to wish them a long and prosperous life. You know, like the Vulcans say, live long and prosper. And then we, second part is to, or third part depends. Then we pray for those who are neutral, that we don't really have any affinities with necessarily, like maybe co-workers that we do not interact with often, or people on the street or bus or train or the cashiers at supermarkets. We just wish them well. We don't need to know them, just wish them exactly the same sentiments. That's fairly easy usually. And then the final part is the hardest one, is the one where we wish well even to our so-called people we have hard time with. Possibly we have some hard time to interact with. Doesn't matter why, it could be misunderstandings or maybe some events in the past. Still, we wish them well, and we don't wish to hurt them. We don't wish for revenge. I'm not talking about mortal enemies, just people we do not get along very well. Maybe we have to meet them, but we often it ends up in in maybe high voice, and then we wish them well in any case. It could also be even mortal enemies, of course, because mortal enemies is something circumstantial. Like mortal enemies could be best friend in another circumstance. So it doesn't mean that we are weak or that we do not defend ourselves when needed. We do, of course, we need to defend ourselves and in certain hard circumstances. But that doesn't mean that we wish harm to the other persons. It's a different perspective. We wish them even well as much as we wish our cherished one to be well. That is a hard practice because we are not used to do that. We have a strong blocks to do such things, to wish well to those that hurt us or that have hurt us in the past. But if people were happy and peaceful, then they would not actually do such things. And yeah, a lot of what's happening in this world is due to greed, anger, jealousy. Can be on a small scale or big scale. Even countries which may be jealous of other countries, and then they decide to invade them just because of greed and jealousy. Of course, that's very wrong. And yeah, but if those people were happy and peaceful in their own hearts, they were content, then they would not do such things. And especially if they were like compassionate beings, understand the pain of others, then for certain they would not do such things. That's why if we pray for them like to be happy and maybe to open their hearts to kindness and compassion, then it's good sentiments, it's good feelings that we have towards those beings. But in most cases, I mean, we pray mostly for like those that are just difficult with us, but are not like enemies. And yeah, so that is what is called metta meditation. You can watch many such guided meditations on the web. You'll find quite a lot of them. Metta, like with two T's, METTA, I believe. Metta, the other one is like it's a company, so no. So metta means, I think, loving kindness. Yeah, then we have contemplation on higher truths, like who am I, who am I not? We discussed this again quite extensively in previous presentations. And then we have self-counseling, where we discuss with ourselves about our own goals, our own wishes, how to achieve them. I mean, of course, only in a positive way. How to develop good habits, how to remove the old bad habits, like the habits of eating animal flesh and secretion. That's a habit, very strong habit, even like that comes from society, from families, and that we grow up with. So it becomes a very strong one. But how to change to a more compassionate, kind habit, which is basically plant-based one, at least for the diet. Of course, there are other aspects, but the diet is maybe one of the main one. and any other habit that we do not like and that we wish to change, like stop smoking, drinking alcohol, or gossiping, maybe I think way too much time on social media. And nowadays that is very common, or playing games too much. A little bit is fine, but too much isn't. And yeah, in a way, wasting time that could be used for maybe more constructive things that could provide us more happiness in life, and more contentment in our own hearts and also others. So yeah, so habits is a big topic. We did not yet, really discuss this, but habits are really what defines our future. Like it is said, I heard it from a wonderful lady, Lisa Raimondi. She has a wonderful channel, Raw Food Romance. She's a powerful woman, and she's a raw vegan. So as she says, like she's first and foremost vegan for the animals, and then she's raw for herself because she feels better on it. So yeah, and she said that if I remember well, something like we cannot change our future. We can only change our habits, and our habits will change our future. So we cannot influence our future, something like that. But it's quite clear what it means. Um, so yeah, so that's another thing, and another aspect that we can talk about is friendliness with mind. Is to be friendly with the mind. Talk about anything that we wish in a friendly manner, as if our mind is our best friend. So let's do that now. So let's practice for 9 minutes. Self-dialogue. Just talk with yourself about anything that you wish from the categories that we discussed or other categories in a positive way always. Let's start now. So now we move to the meditation part. Meditation part is when we don't follow the thoughts. We try to let them be, like see them as clouds. We focus on one object at a time. And yeah, and when we have thoughts, we try to bring the attention back to the object of concentration. So for us in this retreat, it was the breath. So we focus on the sensation of the breath at the nostrils or at the lips, upper lips especially, or the sensation of cold and hot hair when we breathe in and out, or even the belly coming in and out. So when we practice it, we can count also the breath, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back to 1. Each time we count is inhalation, exhalation. Or we can think in when we inhale and out when we exhale. This is very calming to the mind. And we can let it go once we are settled down. And that's all we do, basically. We just watch the breath very, very boringly, very calmly. Nothing as fancy. And yeah, we try to be as focused as possible, as aware as possible about anything that happens in our body also. If something really takes our attention, then we can put our attention on that point for a little bit of time, then return to our breath. When we have thoughts that come and we cannot like control them, then we can think like a thought, like a word, like thinking, which will like acts like a reminder that we acknowledge the thoughts, and then we come back to our concentration. So it's easier to return to our concentration when we really acknowledge our thoughts in a certain way, like categorizing the thoughts or something like that, or thinking a word like thinking. And yeah, our breath is purely natural; it's not controlled this time. We let our breath come in and out naturally. As if we are watching someone breathe, and we have no control over that person's breath. We are just being aware of it. So it's not necessarily easy to do, but it's worth the effort. And try to be as stable and comfortable as possible in our position. So you can even sit on a chair, use as many cushions as you need. Of course, I would suggest to always sit on a cushion, not on the ground. For most people, it's much more comfortable, me included. And you can also use a cushion underneath your knees. That's also very convenient and very healthy. So let's do that. So let's practice for 9 minutes. I will ring the bell at the end. So that concludes the session for today. To recap today, we saw how what we have on our plates is so important. Of course, this is related to the entire sessions theme, but it's good to maybe focus entirely on the food on our plates. Is extremely important. It's what the choice that we make 3 times or more a day resonates strongly, not only locally but also globally. It has vast consequences. Whatever we consume has a very big consequence on the world at vast, which is quite incredible, which means that we have kind of a control ourselves on how we wish to contribute to peace on earth and kindness. So through whatever we put in our place, it's like, as I said, it's like a declaration of either peace or war. It's a declaration of compassion or violence. And it is in this world, in most places, it is a choice that we can make ourselves 3 times or more, usually more a day. Whatever we consume has that aspect of either violence or of peace and kindness and compassion. So this kind of excuse, if I may say so, of it is my choice to eat whatever I wish. It's a very it's misguided very much, because it doesn't include the choice of the animals. The animals have no choice. The animals that we consume have no choice but to either be our the meat or the dairy or even honey or eggs. We use them for that. We use and abuse them for that. So the real choice is only when others also have choices. We cannot just, as I get the example of steal anybody's phone or laptop. Just because we want to. No. Okay, that's a choice. We can do this, but it will have consequences, grave consequences. We might go to court, to jail, maybe. But I would say, unfortunately, that is not the case with consuming animal-based food, because that is legal in most places on earth, except in some places. But it has grave consequences as well, because before it is seen as a choice. Choice is only when it is mutual. So when everybody agrees to it, then it's a real choice. Otherwise, it's not. It's a self-choice, but then we remove the choices of other beings, and that is not right. Of course, most of the time we are not aware of it. As I mentioned before, most of us are born in meat-eating families that drink dairy a lot, that eat yogurts a lot, that eat honey, fish, all kinds of meat, all kinds of animals, birds, that maybe hunt, that fish, go fishing, and whatnot. So we are not. This is the reality of this world. So this is not a vegan world, of course. But once we are aware of it, once we are become aware of it, I would say it's our duty and responsibility to act in a responsible way, in a compassionate way. Once we know, we should not close our eyes again. We should not close our hearts. Once the veils have been removed, we should not put them again on, and there's no reason to, because especially nowadays, to eat a plant-based diet is so easy. At least I think so. I think most people who try it out know so. But it's more about traditions and families and pressures and thinking that maybe it is extreme, maybe. But I think what is extreme is cruelty is extreme. To kill and abuse innocent beings, that is extreme, isn't it? To be compassionate, is that extreme? To be truly compassionate is normal, should be. But in this world, everything is kind of upside down. We view good as bad and bad as good sometimes. I hope this will change. The world is changing slowly but surely. It doesn't mean that we put pressure on people, but as like ethical vegans, we wish to spread the message of kindness and compassion and to open people's eyes and hearts to the reality, to make people realize what the lies that we've been told since our birth, basically. And yes, so we need to dismantle those lies and try to at least kind of educate. I'm not sure we can say like educate people. It's not the idea of educating. It's more opening people's eyes and helping people realize the what's really happening, the reality of things. Like in Vipassana, Vipassana means like to see clearly, clear insight, and to see things as they are. That's what it means. And we need to see things as they are. And we need not to close our eyes to it once we know. Before we know, we are innocent ourselves, honestly. We don't know. Like, kind of, I didn't know until I was 18, and then I knew. But even then, I didn't know fully. I was not really much aware of the dairy and cheese and butter and ghee and how terrible that is. No different than meat, possibly even worse. So then I also understood like over time, because I was like I was told myself in different ways. I don't remember exactly the reason why I went vegan. I mean, what triggered it? I suppose I saw some vegan documentaries probably, or some posts from someone. But that was wonderful. It's wonderful to know about it. It's a good thing. It's positive to educate ourselves. That's why I repeat it often, over and over again. We should watch documentaries. Those are good. There are many good documentaries. There are not conspiracy documentaries. They are real documentaries by scientists, by medical doctors, by people who care deeply. And yeah, we should know the impact that we have on the planet from our plates. So if we want peace on Earth, first thing to do is to have peace on our plates. And that is wonderful, isn't it? Because it's so easy to do. Maybe we can try today. Watch when we eat, we watch our plate and start to think: is it really a peaceful plate? Is it a plate made out of kindness and compassion? Is that a plate of food that we are supposed to eat? Was there any violence in producing this plate? Is what we put in our body filled with compassion and kindness and good energy and positive vibes? Or is it death and torture and abuse? And that will affect us both from a health perspective, mental perspective, and spiritual perspective. So it's our choice what we put in our bodies. And yeah, if we see something that we do not want to consume, just don't consume it. If somebody prepared it for you, ask him or her not to prepare it anymore. And it's as simple as that, and they will understand. Maybe not initially, maybe after they think about it themselves, but they will do it, and they themselves will be influenced. So that is wonderful. So yes, what we put on our plates is so important. So let's reflect on that today deeply. And yeah, maybe make a commitment to be vegan for 1 month, just 1 month, 31 days. Like again, do the Veganuary challenge, and then see how it goes. What bad can happen? Only good can happen. We don't need the flesh of dead animals. As the great Sankirpa Singh said to his father when he was like 4 or 5 years old, would you make a graveyard out of my body? That is very strong words. And somebody as young as 4 or 5 years old telling his father that directly and truthfully. And his father was very receptive to it. He was shocked but understood it. And yeah, so maybe we can learn from a 4 or 5 years old compassionate soul. So thank you, and let's end with the mantra. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy and free. And may our thoughts, words, and deeds contribute in some way to that happiness and freedom for all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace to all of nature, peace to all living beings, to all the animal people, to all the humans, and finally peace to ourselves, to our own mind. Om. Thank you so much for being here, and wish you a wonderful day. And yeah, till next time. Bye bye.